Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond Bandwidth, Leviton's podcast series where we dive into network technology's hottest topics. I am your host from Leviton Network Solutions, Roy Chamberlain. I am with Matt Schumacher, Senior Applications Engineer with Leviton Network Solutions. Matt is an expert on Leviton's answer to network channel extenders, the ONEREACH PoE extender system. We break down the hard questions on this solution for long-distance power over Ethernet runs. Welcome to Beyond Bandwidth, Matt. Tell us a little bit about your background and what your role is at Leviton.
I am a physicist by training, but I am a senior application engineer here at Leviton. My role here is to basically help not only facilitate customers as they need help or as they need guidance on what products to use with whatever the application they have. I also work in the R&D areas in order to represent customer contractors with our products to make sure that they are robust enough and able to handle basically whatever the customer may need. I've been with the company originally through Burke Tech prior to our acquisition for 18 years total now.
Wow. And I have worked with you, Matt, and it's interesting hearing your background from your perspective because you are very detailed. It's something I always appreciate. When we were working on the specification for ONEREACH, you had some great feedback, and I love getting feedback. It's funny, when I work on specs or documents, a lot of times people just look at the content, but the grammar and the spelling and the conciseness, those are just as important. And you were always good at pointing things out to have good alternatives.
I've gotten some people to sometimes find it slightly annoying. They're just like, come on, we just want to finish this document.
Right.
Why'd you have to see that one thing? It's been passed over by, 3 other people and they were okay with it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it can be amazing sometimes, but I pride myself and I try to look for those things. Whether people think they're important a lot, I think dotting the I's and crossing the T's are necessary. So.
Agreed.
So we're talking a lot about extended distance over copper in this third season of Beyond Bandwidth, and for devices over 100 meters away. And the main reason we invited you as a guest is because of your expertise on Leviton's ONEREACH solution. So with that, what exactly is ONEREACH and where is it best utilized?
So one way to think about ONEREACH is that physically it uses both copper and fiber in order to do the extended distance. It is more of a actual copper extended distance solution that just happens to use fiber. What it is essentially you have your closet, you have your network switch, your classic setup there. And most people go, hey, I just need to reach out to, say, that parking lot or that guard shack that's at the end of the road and there's a quarter of a mile down the road. So what you can do with that is just take advantage of the fact that fiber is able to go that further distance.
Yeah.
What you do is you essentially just do media conversion, take that copper and you go to fiber. The downside is fiber is also horrible at being able to transmit power. Glass is an insulator. It's just not going to happen. Right. So what you do is under that same jacket, you put copper conductors. We use 12 gauge. That gets us a significant amount of distance. And then at the other end, you plug in that 12 gauge into the remote and then you media convert back. And inside that remote, you also have all the circuits to handle all the PoE handshakes. So the device then just goes, hey, I need this much power. Essentially give it to me. Powers up, activates. And as far as that device is concerned, it's plugged in all the way back at the original switch. So there's no knowledge to it that it's actually going through this whole media conversion. It's what we would say is invisible to the network.
Yeah. So you talk about the fiber with the copper and the media converters. I mean, with this, is it something Leviton looks into? Are there products that already have that where they allow the copper and the fiber to connect directly into a device?
Oh, yeah. There are actually a number of items that can do that. With regards to using a hybrid cable, there's the distributed antenna system. That's one of your classic examples of where a hybrid cable gets used. And that's just to help, again, deliver that class 2, class 3 power to the remote device. Another area that I've seen it at is actually wireless access points. A number of them are starting to have fiber interfaces to handle, the higher bandwidth and then have direct 56-volt DC power input. And then you just plug it directly into the switch. The best application is the 10, 100, 1000 base T style applications. Where you're going to see that happen is your security cameras, your access device. Again, think like a guard check where you have to, swipe a ID badge in order to open a gate. That would be a perfect PoE item. Blue light emergency phones that you might see on a college campus.
Yeah.
I've seen OneReach used a number of times there, as it can power the phone, it can power the camera. Basically, you put a 4-port in the NEMA rated enclosure in the base, and you got all the devices there powered up.
Yeah.
And we also see it used for outdoor access points. So a number of times they'll use access points in order to keep the Wi-Fi going throughout the campus. Most of those can be handled by gigabit, and therefore OneReach will take care of it.
All right, great. Great. So, because of the long distance reach, like you said, there are many outdoor applications which can benefit from the system. How do we address the grounding and lightning protection within the OneReach system? For instance, when your head end resides in an IT room inside a building, and then the devices are outdoors, which is typical.
First, I'm going to start with, I am not a local authority having jurisdiction. There are just too many different areas with all different requirements. So anything I say is going to be more high level.
Okay.
And any of the listeners should be going to the local authority having jurisdiction, which honestly should always be the case whenever you have a code related question.
Good.
The general requirements, I'm going to start in the head end side of things, is that yes, everything needs to be grounded, and it can go back to the ground that you would already have, your primary bus or your secondary bus that you already have on that data rack or in that enclosure. You just tie it in via normal copper conductor, and it's as easy as that. I should also mention we do have a general grounding guideline actually on our website at leviton.com/OneReach. The remote side is a little more difficult just because it's not necessarily tied into the building ground. Most of the time, what you'll do is actually just put in a ground rod at that location and then tie that in, and then bring it up through a cable gland into the enclosure that you're going to be using outdoors. And then you would tie it to that ground, and that'll give it a ground path.
Okay.
One of the big things to remember is that surge protection, which is why we require this grounding, surge protection doesn't work without a ground. And that's true of AC power strips, and that's true of OneReach. If you don't have a ground, you don't have surge protection. It's as simple as that. And surge, most people think when they think surge, they're going, oh, it's lightning. Well, I'm not in a lightning area. It doesn't matter. And it's like, no, it does.
Yeah.
Surge events can occur when basically a power blip occurs through the power grid. Suddenly the voltage rises up and then goes back down to nominal. You have a surge event. Depending on where components are located, that could couple into the wire and then travel down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you hit the device. And if you have no place to shunt that energy, aka ground, you basically have a problem, and it has to go into the device itself and hits all the circuitry and causes issues.
Okay, that's thorough, and that hits all the bases on that. So, like you said, the authority having jurisdiction is most important, and it's good that we have solutions to address probably anything that they're going to require. So, the OneReach goes well beyond the complexity of a standard passive solution that we typically design, in structured cabling in our industry. Most of our stuff is cabling with drops on triangles, passive components that will connect to a network. But the OneReach, how does someone design and create a bill of materials for a OneReach? Because it is more complex than just the cables and jacks and stuff like that.
So the best way to approach it, I find, is think of the remote side first. Don't worry about the head end. So what I mean by that is, what are you looking to power? Are you looking to power a camera? Are you looking to power a wireless access point? So you start with that. What power level is it? Is it PoE? Is it PoE plus? Is it 60 watt? Is it 45 watt? Is it 100 watt? What have you? Is
Right.
it non-standard? That could potentially be an issue too.
Okay.
Then from there, you have to figure out, okay, what is the distance I need to go? And in the case of OneReach, we normally more think about two different types of distances. You have your copper connection distance, that's from the remote to whatever the network powered device is. And then you have that hybrid cable distance, and that's basically between the head end equipment and the remote. So there's a couple different techniques you can also use to do that. But normally when we talk about distance, we're more focused on that hybrid cable distance.
Okay.
A lot of times that copper cable will kind of take care of itself, and I'll touch on that in a moment. And then from there, we actually have our own worksheet that we have our customers fill out. It's really easy. You just fill out the distance, that hybrid cable distance, and then you just plug in what are the devices going to be, or what type of power level are they. You plug it in, and then you can just send it into appeng@leviton.com, and we create the bill of material from there. In the background, we're kind of taking care of figuring out, okay, what is the head end? How much power do they actually need grand total? How many power supplies does that turn into? If you go to use like a chassis, okay, how many devices will that actually support with one chassis? Do you need to go to 2 or more? And hence the head end kind of takes care of itself. Some of the other considerations, and if you ever go on and take a look at our distance table, you'll kind of see this where we have a distance table online where we address, okay, what if you have 100 meters between your remote and your head end, and what if you only have 10 meters? So one of the things you can look at there is go, okay, why do you even have 2 different distances?
Right.
Hey, standard says 100 meters from everything. What we do with that 10-meter one is we just essentially say, all right, most installations are going to be on a pole.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough that most poles aren't going to be 10 meters, which is, you're talking like 32 feet, but they could be. Yeah, it's a kind of a good round number. But if you sacrifice your 100 meters down to 10, you can put basically the loss of power you would have and use the 12 gauge. 12 gauge being a larger gauge than patch cords, which are typically 24 gauge, allows you to push that out much further.
Okay.
So now you can go significantly further distance just by using less horizontal length in between the remote and the connection.
Yep.
Now on the worksheet, you don't even have to identify that. We'll take care of knowing which one of the 2 you need to use. So
okay,
that's a simplicity there. But that's why we had that there. Then I should also mention in the worksheet, and this is going back to that HPOE thing I mentioned, is that we do ask for part numbers for the 60-watt devices. The reason for this is before IEEE 802.3 BT was ratified, people wanted 60-watt devices, pan-tilt zooms with heaters.
Right.
And so company A decided, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to implement it, using these pairs. Company B said, no, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to implement it using these other pairs. Company C said, no, I'm going to do it this way, and I'm only going to use 2 pairs. And before you know it, you had 3 incompatible options. And then that's on top of going, well, I decided to flip-flop which pairs are positive and negative. It became a Wild West.
Yeah.
Now, some of those devices still exist. And sometimes what will happen is people will go, well, I know it's 60 watt. I see 60 watt in the list. I'm going to specify it. And then we get the part number, and here the camera's really an HPOE camera. Then we have to determine if it is that, because it's not standards compliant. We have to go through and figure out, okay, we have a remote that kind of works with one of these older options. Will that device actually work for what we have available? Personally, it's hard to do this, but I would lean on the camera manufacturer and say, hey, get standards compliant. There's a good reason standards exist. But we'll try and work as best as we can. But this is some of the work that we have to do on our end to figure out, are these devices actually going to be compatible?
Right. Yeah. Makes sense anyway to encourage the clients to use a standard-based PoE, because it's not only ONEREACH, right, that uses that standard.
Exactly. You're probably going to have some of the devices plugged directly into the switch, and the last thing you want to do is have to deal with, well, now I got to have this midpoint
Right.
PoE injector just for this one camera, just because it's not compatible with my PoE switch. And that means I'm not even using that PoE capability.
Right. Yeah. So I think you answered a lot of this, but what are the reasons why ONEREACH kind of must be designed by Leviton applications engineers?
So one of the reasons we have this worksheet to fill out and all is, in the past, we've had customers who go, oh, I know this, I can handle this, I'll just read it from the catalog. And then what'll happen is I get a phone call going, hey, I'm not getting link between my main and remote. I asked them for the part number. They gave me the part numbers, and I go, well, the main problem is you got a multi-mode on the head end and you got a single mode on the remote end, and you're using multi-mode cable. That's the reason they're not communicating. Or you got, at the time, we used to have 100 base FX, and then we would have 1,000 base, say SX or LX, and either way, they're not getting link.
Yeah.
This creates customer frustration. This creates issues in this regard because now they have to wait and reorder it, and these are all made to order products. And now it turns into, I'm stuck with this thing that does me no good. So we go through and we just say, hey, we can design these things. We'll turn them around and we'll prioritize turning them around. I mean, I think they can get it done in about an hour. I can't guarantee that value, but our technical services group is very quick about getting these things turned around. But it ensures that when you order those parts, it's going to work.
Right.
End of statement. It removes a lot of frustration. I just know from the feedback I've heard that everyone's been happy with this worksheet style system. Makes it much, much easier to be able to handle it.
Yeah. So is that the same thing? Even so, let's say I had a system designed. I have a college campus. I sent my worksheet in. We have a chassis. There's some extra ports on there. Hey, why can't I just buy another remote and a cable and plug it into that extra port on the chassis? Is there anything wrong with doing that, or do I have to send another worksheet in?
So the answer to that is, well, maybe. So it might work, it might not. And the reason for that is the power supplies only can support so much power with each individual one. The dilemma is it's not as easy as going, well, one port corresponds to this much of a slice of that power supply.
Okay.
It may be one, like, for example, 100 watts. Each power supply is going to support, we call it 2.5. I can explain that. Yeah. But essentially 2 devices per power supply. So if one media converter, half of it may not be useful if you have multiple 100 watts. So you would see maybe 2 media converters, but those last 2 ports may not be able to support any devices because you're utilizing everything.
Okay.
Real quick to just close the loop on that. The half is just so that if anyone goes, hey, you're saying I only need 2 power supplies. If it was just 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. Why are you saying I can support 5 devices on 2 power supplies? That's where the half comes in. It's just to signify that when 2.5 and 2.5 add together, it becomes 5.
Okay.
A lot of our customers will ask, like, oh, what about this number? What about this number? I'm doing the math. We want to just help facilitate and make that a little easier for them.
Yeah. So, right, with the growth of the system and the upgrades for the new PoE applications that have been passed, Type 3 and Type 4 over the last few years, there's definitely some complexities. And like you said, in addition to HPoE, which was kind of before standardized, the 802.3 Type 3 and Type 4. So,
And not necessarily compatible with Type 3 and Type 4.
exactly.
That's the one dilemma. Some of them are, some of them are not.
Yeah, so it shows why it's so important for these requests to be kind of vetted through Leviton, which I can tell you, I know I have to do it and our reps do, and generally it's turned around almost immediately.
Yeah, it's, I just don't want to commit to anything
Right.
too fast, just in case someone's like, hey, I've waited 30 seconds. Where's my bomb? So
Yeah.
I will say when adding devices, the best thing to do is almost summarize what do you already have.
Right.
And if you have a bomb ID, just give us the bomb ID and then just say, this is on top of the bomb ID.
Yeah.
Or ask us, we keep a copy of all our bombs.
Yep.
So it's very easy for us if you go, hey, I have this bomb ID, I want to add to it. Could you just send me a copy?
Yeah.
We can send you a copy, you modify it, you pop in the new devices, and then we can recalculate. And then we just figure out the difference and just go, hey, this is what you need to add to it. Maybe it's you need one more power supply. And maybe it's just go ahead and add it. You already got the budget in there. All's good. But it's always good to just double check and just to make sure. So otherwise what's going to end up happening is you plug in your new fancy camera and nothing happens.
Right. So another question, I mean, because there are different pieces and parts, and there are passive parts. A lot of the contractors that install the ONEREACH, again, are not network engineers. They're not audiovisual contractors a lot of times. They're mostly installing passive type devices. So if I'm out on site and I have a question or I have something that's not working, what's the best way for me to solve that or get support?
So the best way is to reach out to Roy.Chamberlain at Leviton. The best way is honestly to reach out to AppEng at Leviton.com or give a call to our tech support line.
Okay.
From there, you'll get a TSR. They're going to ask some basic questions. And then depending on it, if that might be enough, if they need to escalate it, they'll honestly be coming to me.
Okay.
And then I'll be working with the customer and probably asking follow-up questions. And then based off of that input, I would say what would immensely help is either if you had that bomb, provide it right away, or a list of the part numbers, detailed steps of what you've already done.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Otherwise, I'm honestly going to ask the question of what's already get done.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, I know this is the case. Sometimes these issues aren't as obvious as it seems, and a lot of times it can come down to the device wasn't there or something wasn't grounded. I had one teacher in high school say, pictures are worth 1,000 words and at least a few points on the test.
Right.
They are phenomenally helpful as having good, clear, detailed pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great, Matt. This was great. I mean, I've been working with this system for a while and definitely learned a lot just in talking to you on this episode.
Oh, not a problem.
Beyond Bandwidth is a podcast series produced by Leviton Network Solutions. For more information on the topics we talked about today, as well as other enterprise or data center network infrastructure content, or to check out all available episodes of Beyond Bandwidth, visit us on the web at leviton.com/beyondbandwidth, or wherever you normally listen to podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd appreciate you leaving an honest review in your podcast application. Along with word of mouth, leaving a review will help others find our show. I'm Roy Chamberlain, and this was Beyond Bandwidth. Until next time.